Hi, my name is Javier Fernandez, and I will be talking about SeaWorld's crisis communication response to the Blackfish documentary. The 2013 film recounts the story of Telecom's captivity at SeaWorld. It is highly critical of the theme park's treatments of orcas and questions the impact it has on the whale's physical and mental health. Additionally, it suggests that captivity and treatment may have been contributing factors to Telecom killing two park trainers and a trespasser. SeaWorld's initial response employed primarily asymmetrical communications in the form of denial and bolstering crisis response strategies. It also led a preemptive strike on the documentary by sending a letter to 50 film critics prior to the film's release, denouncing the documentary as inaccurate and disputing specific allegations. Unfortunately for SeaWorld, the preemptive tactic backfired and only succeeded in raising the documentary's profile and providing free publicity. The company also created a series of YouTube videos where they disputed claims made by the documentary. In February 2016, SeaWorld admitted that they had instructed employees to infiltrate PETA and pose as radical animal rights activists. These Hoover-esque tactics did not bode well with the public, and the company's credibility continued to suffer. The resulting backlash from the documentary would have a devastating financial impact on the company. However, from a communication perspective, it created a public relations nightmare. The documentary had polarized the public sentiments about SeaWorld and their Orca program, and companies that had had long-standing relationships with SeaWorld began to distance themselves from the now embattled company. SeaWorld also struggled to develop effective social media messaging. In one instance, it tweeted a picture of a mother and calf, saying, "Everything we do in the care of whales is centered on the mother-calf bond." But the internet noted that the same whales pictured on the tweet had in fact been separated. The mother Takara lives in SeaWorld San Antonio, while her calf, Kahana, lives in Loro Parque in Spain. As public sentiment towards SeaWorld continued to degrade, a series of musical performing artists canceled scheduled concerts at SeaWorld in protest. Facing reduced profits, stock price, and park attendance, SeaWorld was forced to acknowledge that their previous communication strategy had not worked. Their revised approach revolved around rebuilding or redressing strategies through symmetric communications focusing on a willingness to adapt and make compromises. This was illustrated by the company choosing not to appeal an OSHA ruling banning trainers from getting in the water with the whales. And in March 2016, it announced that it would end its orca captivity breeding program. As SeaWorld CEO Joe Manby explained, "We understand some customers are upset and may feel betrayed, but in a simple way, the data and trends showed that it was either a SeaWorld without whales or a world without SeaWorld. We, as an organization that needs to have cash flow to succeed, and unfortunately, the trends were not in our favor." So in conclusion, how has SeaWorld done? Well, it's a mixed bag, really. The company did a commendable job conducting effective environmental scanning practices. It was aware of the documentary before it came out and clearly identified it as an issue that could potentially become a problem for the company. It also fully leveraged their entire suite of communications channels to support the response strategy. Lastly, it eventually changed the response strategy to rebuilding and used two-way symmetric communications. It also recognized that it needed to make some changes and grant concessions to ensure its survival. And while hindsight is always 2020, here are a few things that SeaWorld could have done better. The letter to film critics prior to the documentary's release was not a good move. It brought free publicity to the film and raised its profile. More damaging, it employed the wrong SCCT response by using denial and bolstering strategies. It utilized one-way asymmetric communications that only serve to alienate their core audiences. Perhaps more tragically, the company's own tactics damaged their reputation and eroded the public's trust. This happened as a result of their social media perhaps not being well researched, ultimately backfiring. or instructing their employees to infiltrate and spy on PETA and other animal rights groups. So, what awaits SeaWorld in the future? Only time will tell. As an exercise, I've developed this mock press release from SeaWorld in the future. In it, it announces a memorandum of understanding between SeaWorld and PETA to explore the feasibility of establishing an orca whale sanctuary off the coast of San Diego. Given SeaWorld's newfound desire to find common ground with its critics, something like this may very well happen. This concludes my presentation. I hope you have found it both informative and enjoyable. Thank you.